Now this is a really tricky move from Lee Yong. He catches the kick and then rolls in and does a spinning back fist. In order to figure out what your character's objective is.
That's why I'm like, yeah, both of us.
And Nola is taking down Mr. Bowler Hatter. Hey friends! John here, and welcome to The Martial Actor. Today, I, a black belt, will be reacting to Season 1 of Warrior. Now, this is part 4 of a 5-part series. So if you haven't seen parts 1 through 3, check the links in the description below. Keep it out for part 5, and let's dive right in. This is Season 1, Episode 8, titled, They Don't Pay Us Enough to Think, and the two Tongs have come to an all-out war on the streets of San Francisco. This is the first time in the show we've seen this many bodies come into play in any fight scene. There's probably 25 to 30 stuntmen in this scene. That is a lot of people to be choreographing in one fight. So the two Tongs charge at each other, and we get this really nice feel for how epic in scale this fight is. And then we move to this ultra wide shot, and we get all of these guys like pairing off and doing epic stunts. And then it immediately moves into shaky cam. So shaky cam is a really interesting way to capture footage. It's visually interesting to watch, but it's also tactically easy to use because you can get away with a lot of mistakes in choreo, which is really nice if you're working with dozens of bodies. And then we move to Ah Sahm, and he gets a nice like tornado crescent kick, followed up by another crescent kick. And then Young comes in, and he's just killing these people. And then we get Lee Tong. And then this is a really great stunt from Andrew Koji, jumping off the wagon in order to slash that dude. That change in elevation is really dynamic, and it's very visually interesting to watch.
This is new.
Moving forward, Ah Sahm is just minding his own business when he gets ambushed by this group of men in masks. And again, it goes from 0 to 60. The show is so good at doing that. I love seeing that trap with that punch. That's really good technique. Now, he is just not holding anything back against these guys. That was a really great stunt. Get a nice side kick. And more great kicks here. Really nice back fist. Andrew Koji has really nice back fists. It's always so great to see them. And then he ends the fight with a series of 5 or 6 thrust punches right to the guy's sternum. Really strong way to end the fight.
You don't drink?
Not here.
Well, for me.
What are the sashes for?
Moving forward, this is Season 1, Episode 9, titled Chinese Boxing. Now, the Hopway and the Long Z Tongs have come to an agreement that their best fighters will fight each other, and whoever wins will basically become the kings of the San Francisco Chinese gangs. So Ah Sahm is representing the Hopway, and Lee Yong is representing the Long Z. Now, this fight has been teased the whole season, so I'm excited that we finally get to see them duke it out. Now, to start, they are standing way closer than you normally would stand to your opponent at the beginning of a match, but they wanted to get a shot with their hands crossing, so they had to stand that close to each other. So Ah Sahm starts with a teep and then a thrust punch to Lee Yong's face. Now, I think in the scheme of these two fighters, they're pretty equally matched in skill level, but they're good at different things. Ah Sahm is faster than Lee Yong, whereas Lee Yong is sturdier. He can take more hits, and his strikes seem to have more power behind them. Now, both that stunt and this upcoming stunt are both really good from Andrew Koji. And all of this choreo is quite good. We're getting long strings of combinations, and we're getting continuous shots that accompany them. It's really high level choreo. They're also doing a good job of giving good pacing to this fight. If you have a fight scene where it's just a combination of strikes or just strike after strike after strike, it's hard for the audience to follow. Here, they're doing a really good job of giving one fighter the advantage and then giving the other fighter the advantage and giving space and breaks in between so that the audience has time to catch up. Now, this is a really tricky move from Yong. He catches the kick and then rolls in and does a spinning back fist, and then the two of them do these flips with kicks associated. I think that Joe Taslim actually did his flip, but Andrew Koji looked like he had a stunt double for that. Those deep horse stances look great, and then Yong gets that tricky kick right there. And then Andrew Koji does a jump roundhouse kick, and they do this combo stunt roll. That is actually not as difficult as it looks. You just have to coordinate with your partner and get the timing right. Now, it looks like Ah Sahm's gonna win. He's got Yong in a wrist lock, but Yong gets him off, and then he gets a series of really good kicks. And Ah Sahm just took those 3 punches, but then he gets this really strong punch against Yong. Now, after this, Yong starts kind of like stumbling around, and his defense is basically non-existent. That doesn't make a ton of narrative sense to me. That solar plexus punch wouldn't have done any more damage than any of the other punches or kicks that we've been seeing. So narratively, it seemed a little bit strange to me. That front kick to the face definitely would have laid Yong down like that. So then miraculously, he wakes up, and almost immediately the shift turns. You can see that he's still like struggling to stay afloat, to keep his balance. He's centering his energy, and he's got this like indomitable will. And that's really where they start to show the difference between Yong as a character and Ah Sahm as a character. Yong is fighting for a cause, and that makes him a true warrior, whereas Ah Sahm does not have that cause yet. Joe Taslim parries and then gets that really strong double front punch. And they're playing with this really interesting fishbowl lens again. We've seen it before. That was a really nice crescent tornado kick. We're back to the fishbowl lens. We have seen this with Bolo's flashback, but I don't think we've seen it other than that in the series. It is interesting though, because they're doing it from the perspective of Yong, whereas Ah Sahm is the one that's getting beaten now. Usually you would see that kind of distorted fishbowl lens from the person that's getting beaten up. So that was like an interesting choice. I'm not sure why they chose to do it from his perspective. And then this was a gnarly punch. Like, that slow-mo mixed with that prosthetic looked amazing. And Father June leaves because he knows the fight's over, and he's right. We haven't seen Ah Sahm lose a fight at all, really, in this season. And again, this is the difference between him and Yong. Yong can take a beating. He can take a hit and get back up and give it right back. Whereas Ah Sahm does not have that. Without an underlying reason to be fighting that gives him the warrior spirit, he doesn't have the will to keep going. It looks like it's going to be the end for him. Mai Ling gives Yong the signal to end it, but Bill stops the fight. That was an impressive episode. The whole season they've been teasing the fight between Andrew Koji and Joe Taslim, so I'm glad that they paid it off. It was really good. Narratively, I think that there were a few things that could have been a tiny bit stronger, but when it comes to the actual choreo and the capturing of that choreo on camera, that's the highest form of the art as far as I'm concerned. Like, those two are some of the best fighters that I've seen in a while. And so, I mean, what else is there to say? I think it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. There's still one episode left in the season, so I'm not sure what's going to happen, but stay tuned and find out. Keep an eye out for part 5 next week, and that's all I've got for you today. So take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time.